How are you guys doing, and welcome to the next video. I'll be doing a comedy skit at the end of the video. Now I will be trying to do a comedy skit at the end of every video I do, in a segment I'm calling If Life Was Like Video Games. So watch till the end to see it. Last time I did a history video, I did it like this. Well, I'm changing things up, so get ready for a lesson in video game history. This time I'll be putting games of note into the respective years as we go through the history of Midway Games. Originally, Midway Games was called Midway Manufacturing when it first started in 1958. The following year, in 1959, they began making arcade machines. Then in 1969, they were purchased by Bally, which was the leading manufacturer for slot machines. It wasn't until 1973 when they began developing and publishing arcade games. In 1977, Midway entered the consumer market by releasing a home system of their own.
Added 3 built-in games, 4-player capability, a 3-octave music synthesizer, 256 color variations, a built-in calculator, and a basic program making it a personal home computer. You'd have Astrocade, the professional arcade, with a never-ending library of coin-op quality, exciting games.
Before they renamed the system, it was originally called the Bally Home Library Computer. This was the first and only system the company ever made. It was discontinued in 1985. During the 70s, Midway had a sweet deal going on with the Japanese video game publisher Taito, where they would license each other's games in their respective countries. Midway's first hit title for the arcade business was Space Invaders in 1978, which was made by Taito. In 1982, Bally merges its pinball division with Midway to form the Bally Midway Manufacturing Division. In that same year, they released 3 titles under that label: Satan's Hollow, Blueprint, and Tron. From the late 70s to the late 80s, Bally Midway Manufacturing was the leading producer of arcade video games. From 1980 to 1987, they produced many iconic games like Namco's Pac-Man, Atari's Defender, Namco's Galaga, and Ms. Pac-Man, Atari's Joust, VidKid's Robotron 2084, Omega Racer, which was developed by Midway themselves, including a couple of others, such as Tron, Tapper, which that game's reference in Wreck-It Ralph is way too easy to point out.
Hold that thought. Okay, as you were saying.
Then there's Spy Hunter, Discs of Tron, Journey, Gauntlet, Rampage, and Xenophobe. In 1988, WMS Industries Incorporated purchased and reincorporated Midway as a Delaware corporation. In the midst of all this, they retained 2 game designers, Brian Collin and Jeff Nauman. These are the men responsible for Rampage. WMS obtained the rights of the Bally brand so they could continue to use the brand on arcade cabinets they produced. It wasn't until 1991 that Midway absorbed WMS and began making arcade games under their own label yet again. From 1991 to 1996, they released other iconic games as well, like Total Carnage, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat 2, Cruisin' USA, War Gods, WWF WrestleMania the arcade game, Mortal Kombat 3, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat, Cruisin' World, San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and Quake. In 1996, Midway Manufacturing was renamed Midway Games. Around the same time, WMS transferred its video game copyrights and trademarks to Midway for the following games: Defender, Robotron 2084, and Joust. In 1997, Midway gave us NFL Blitz, which I love that game. They also gave us Mace the Dark Age, which I've never heard of. Mortal Kombat 4, which is always awesome. Doom 64, because Doom on every console is awesome, except the SNES version, that one was terrible. And Rampage World Tour, which is one of my favorites in the franchise. In 1998, WMS spun off its remaining 86.8% interest of Midway to its shareholders. And in that year, for the first time in almost 30 years, Midway was an entirely independent company. For 1998 game-wise, we got Hydro Thunder, which I love that game. I used to play that game in the arcades as a kid. Gauntlet Legends, which I know little about, but I've heard good things. Carnival, I haven't the slightest clue on that one. Rush to Extreme Racing USA. And finally, Off-Road Challenge. Moving to 1999, Midway changed their focus to video games.
So you think you know how to play video games? Well, Midway's bringing out 10 of the coolest titles for the PlayStation game console this year. Think you can handle it?
In January of 2000, Midway changed the name of its subsidiary from Atari Games to Midway Games East, obviously to avoid confusion with the Atari company. Starting in the year 2000, Midway would see a loss in money each and every year. So here are some games for 1999. NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC. Ready to Rumble Boxing, Cruisin' Exotica, Hydro Thunder, for console obviously, and Off-Road Thunder. For games from 2000 to 2004 we have Mortal Kombat Special Forces, Rampage Through Time, Arctic Thunder, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, MLB Slugfest 2003, Midway Arcade Treasure, Mortal Kombat Deception, The Suffering, and PsyOps The Mindgate Conspiracy.
I'm ready to go now.
In 2004, Midway started to buy independent video game development studios in an attempt to strengthen its product development teams. Surreal Software was one of the first, which also happens to be the developer of one of my all-time favorite games, Draken the Ancient's Gates.
I did, but the trees were too dense. I couldn't get close. I'm afraid I'll need you to journey into the swamps for me, Ren.
Then they obtained Inevitable Entertainment of Austin, which became Midway Austin. And they obtained Paradox development of Moore Park. In the following year of 2005, Midway acquired Ratbag Games, which would later be relabeled Midway Studios Australia. Unfortunately, Midway would completely dismantle the studio, laying off all of its employees. In 2006 and 2007, Midway continued losing millions of dollars and creating more debt. In 2007, Midway Games was engaged in legal battle with Mind Shadow Entertainment over the rights to PsyOps. Mind Shadow claimed that Midway copied a screenplay that was written by a client of theirs. The case ended up getting thrown out due to a lack of evidence. That same year, Midway entered a $90 million credit agreement. Yeah, because doing the same thing over and over again is going to change something. Anyway, Midway's CEO at the time, David Zucker, thought the introduction of Unreal Tournament 3 meant they would have a profitable year in 2008. You guys remember the recession, right?
It's about to go back.
That year, Midway lost $191 million. Now when it comes to games from 2005 to 2008, we've got Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, Blitz the League, Gauntlet 7 Sorrows, LA Rush, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which is one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games, Stranglehold, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, TNA Impact, NBA Ballers Chosen One, Blitz the League 2, In 2009, Warner Bros. Sent a takeover bid to Midway valued at $33 million. This would allow them to acquire Midway's Chicago and Seattle studios and the rights to the Mortal Kombat and Wheelman series, approved the sale of most of the company's assets to Warner Bros. Midway San Diego studio was purchased by THQ and the rest were purchased by other European companies. Finally, in 2010, Midway declares bankruptcy and is laid to waste. Now before you guys watch the short comedy skit, I'd like to thank you for watching and comment what you think about the skit. You guys are amazing, and don't forget to click that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Remember 22. Until next time, stay classy, bros.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn it. Son of a bitch. Man, look at this Super Trooper having ass. Hey, Thorny, chug any syrup lately? Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? What if I... Shit! Nope, 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 not doing that. Screw that, I'm retarded. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Handicapped Man. Well, next time you come to a stop sign, be sure to pull your head out your ass and come to a complete stop. Have a nice day. Oh. Yeah. What the fuck?
Continue.